And welcome back, everyone. Today on Who Would Win, we have the question of who would win in a fight, Killer Croc or Leatherhead from the Ninja Turtles, because for us from Reptosaurus Rex. This is a really, the answer to this could literally be either or, because it all depends on the interpretation of the character you're looking at. There are some interpretations of both these characters where they're only like above average, not above average, but they have minor degrees of superhuman strength, but they're more humanoid than they are reptilian. And then other versions of the character, like specifically like the Arkham version, where they've gone full on crocodile, like huge hulking massive monster. So it's difficult to really pinpoint how strong one is over the other. If we're looking at these characters to their max capacity without any real augmentation of like Venom or Cybernex or anything like that, then what do we have here? Leatherhead is, like the Turtles, a mutated baby alligator who's actually a very intelligent and kind individual, but fiercely powerful, having all the abilities of an alligator maxed out and then maxed out again. He's defeated all four of the Turtles in combat, has even greatly injured the Shredder before. He's strong enough to tank laser fire. He's durable enough to survive massive hits from other extremely strong individuals. He has got the bite force of an alligator, obviously, and he's relatively capable, but in terms of intelligence. But he is still can be blinded by like reptilian rage. His mind can be overwhelmed in that sense, and so it is an Achilles heel of his. Killer Croc, Waylon Jones, is someone who's actually afflicted with an illness that makes him crocodile-like. He's not a mutant in the same way that Leatherhead is. Depending on the version you're going with, though, he's more man than crocodile sometimes, but then more crocodile than man. Sometimes he even has lips. Other times doesn't have a single lip on his mouth, just a row of teeth. If we're looking at some of his strongest incarnations, though, that aren't like magically inclined or boosting with venom or something like that, then we are looking at an individual who is massive in size, is capable of biting through steel. He is capable of doing stuff. That's why he needs to usually be like locked up Hannibal Lecter style. And both these guys are capable swimmers, surviving underwater, all that. Durable enough to tank low-level explosions, easy. So completely bulletproof. And strong enough to contend with someone like Bane. Now, granted, Bane usually just pumps up the venom and then is able to overwhelm him, but in terms of raw physical stats from base form to base form, we're talking like Killer Croc has been able to hurl forklifts with no problem. Batman cannot one-on-one Killer Croc there, and just mano-a-mano him. We're talking about an individual who's probably among Batman's rogues. Again, not factoring Bane when he's at his peak. He's the physically strongest of Batman's rogues by a long margin. This is a guy who can take a lot of hits, can dish him out. The problem here, though, is that where Leatherhead is actually relatively intelligent, he's not a genius, he's not Donatello, but he's definitely intelligent. Waylon is basically a hired thug. He's not that bright. But because of that, he kind of embraces what he ultimately is. The man become monster and the monster become man is kind of the reflection here. But he just embraces that. So he does have that kind of animal nature among him. As terms of, or to back him up. But in terms of first off, their bite to bite force, that's difficult just in this, because the design of Killer Croc is not always consistent. Sometimes he looks like this. He's got kind of still more humanoid face. Other times he's got a straight out crocodile face. Look at the Batman. He literally looks like an alligator. Actually, looks a little more like a monitor lizard, to be honest. But he has a more crocodilian reptilian design. Whereas most incarnations I see of Killer Croc, he does have the more flat. This is a weird thing to do, but he's got more of this appearance. So in terms of who can get, if it's a biting contest, technically speaking, Leatherhead should get the bite in first, but because the bite strength is stronger in the back of the jaw, the design of Croc's jaw should actually allow for a more dangerous bite. Because unless Leatherhead's got Waylon's arm directly in his mouth, he can't apply the full ferocity of his bite force with just the tip of his snout in his mouth. So In a bite-to-bite competition, Croc's actually probably got the edge. In a size-to-size competition, at their peaks, they're relatively equal in size, roughly speaking, depending on which interpretation you're looking at. If you're looking at, like, say, one of the newer versions of TMNT, the CGI one they did a while back, that and, like, say, the Arkham Croc, which are, like, arguably the two biggest versions of Croc, or the biggest version of Croc, they're relatively comparable in size to each other. That's not to say that the Arkham version is the strongest version of Croc, nor is it to say that that version of Leatherhead's the strongest version, but we're just maxing them out to the strongest capacity. In the water, here's honestly, in my opinion, where Croc has an edge over Leatherhead. Because honestly, Leatherhead has the edge in intelligence. I'd even argue he may have the edge in durability to some degree. And he's even a pretty skilled fighter. But the problem is his actual body is problematic. Let's just look at this image right here. And this isn't the image we go by, per se. But this is an image to give you an idea of, well, let me rephrase that sense. Look at this image as a example of what I'm talking about. Now, this isn't always his design, obviously. Sometimes he's much bigger and all that. But generally speaking, he does have humanoid arms. But they are not proportionate to the rest of his body. They're actually pretty kind of small. All things, not like T-Rex small, but they're pretty small and can only kind of get a lot of reach. And his body shape actually makes his arms not very good for grappling. Whereas Croc, being a man first and a monster second, is completely humanoid in his straight-out design, which means he is far more capable of grappling. His reach is also better. And he also is just, from a design standpoint, can actually just straight out fist fight much easier than the Leatherhead can. Now, Leatherhead has defeated all four of the Turtles before and gone toe-to-toe with the Shredder on multiple occasions and fought well with him. Shredder can beat Leatherhead, but still he can give Shredder a good fight. I don't see Killer Croc giving Shredder a good fight simply because Shredder is going to just out-strategize him. But being able to, what's the best way to put it? Being able to be a threat to Batman physically is also fairly good. It's fairly good street cred, I guess we'll put it. So that means that Croc can go toe-to-toe with someone like Shredder as well, because Batman is very much akin to someone like the Shredder, just minus the lethality, just because he chooses not to do it. So, because of that, in a straight-out one-on-one brawl, Croc, I actually think, is a bit of the edge here because, A, his claws can still rip through like rock, no problem, and therefore rip into Leatherhead, no problem. Leatherhead doesn't have the reach that Croc does. Now, granted, designs vary with Leatherhead, absolutely, but generally speaking, his head is so large that kind of fighting actually isn't very suitable for him. And if he tries to grab Croc is literally just going to, is that neck exposure right there, just means Croc's going to just bite in and tear out his throat. So, even though Leatherhead is arguably the better fighter, he's arguably, no argument about it, he's the more intelligent of them. And may sometimes be larger in size and has gone beaten the Turtles, gone toe-to-toe with the Shredder. Because Croc can contend with Batman and is more powerful than Batman, he's physically stronger. He's got comparable durability, and his body type is more suited for actual grappling. I am going to give it to Croc here because I also think his jaw design just gives him a better bite in this case. Now, granted, again, if we go to the very back of a crocodile's throat, or alligator's throat in this case, all the main part of the bite force is more in the middle and back of the jaw. The front of the jaw is not good here. But Croc's skin is also very thick and durable, so he's not going to be able to just chomp Croc. Whereas Croc, because it's just straight down like a steel trap, I think he would actually be able to take a chunk out of Leatherhead, definitely. In a fight between them, it would be bloody, it would be messy. I think I would go with Killer Croc in this instance, though. This is just my opinion, though. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.